I'm Joe, and today I'm here to bring you my review of Marvel's newest film, Black Panther, directed by Ryan Coogler, starring Chadwick Boseman, Forest Whitaker, Michael B. Jordan, Angela Bassett, and various other people. There's a lot of big names in here, depending on who you follow. This is the feature film debut of the Marvel superhero Black Panther, from what I understand, the first black superhero ever in comic book history. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's what I remember reading. And it tells the story of T'Challa, who we met in Captain America's Civil War, that he's about to be crowned King of Wakanda, a fictional country in the Marvel Universe, which on the surface looks like a poor country in the middle of Africa, but underneath, it's a very thriving type of society, with so much technological and medical advances that they're afraid to come out and share with the world what they're capable of, in the case that it could fall into the wrong hands. And while T'Challa is about to be crowned king, the villain Fearmonger shows up on the scene while also being a king and trying to retain his integrity while he's on the throne. Now, as far as my history with the character of Black Panther, all I really knew about him is what I've seen in the movies. And back in 2013 or 2014, when they announced that he was going to get his own solo movie, I thought, well, alright, it's Marvel, so we'll see what happens. And when they announced that Chadwick Boseman was going to play him, I'd seen him in movies like Get On Up and 42, where he played Jackie Robinson. I thought, oh, okay, it's not a bad choice. And I even thought he was really good as the character in Civil War. And Ryan Coogler was attached to direct this film. I haven't seen Fruitvale Station, but I saw Creed, and as a fan of the Rocky franchise, it was probably one of the best movies I've seen in recent memory. I'll do a more in-depth review on that film one day, but not today, obviously. But again, with the fact that Ryan Coogler was attached to this project, it made me even more curious to see how it was going to be. And the trailers weren't exactly impressing me. Not that they were bad or anything, but I thought, I don't know. But on the other hand, I said the same thing about the Creed trailers, so yeah. On that case, I was very wrong. And I'm proud to say that that's the case again here, because while Black Panther isn't exactly up on the levels of like the first Iron Man or the first Avengers or maybe some of the Captain America films, I would say it's just about right. The biggest compliment that I could give Black Panther besides the cast is the world building, the country of Wakanda. It feels like a real lived-in world. When I say lived-in, I mean it feels like an accessible place that you can go to. It feels like a character in its own right, similar to the original Spider-Man movies with New York City, or the Dark Knight trilogy with Gotham, or obvious comparisons if you know me, the Star Wars universe, where you can actually feel like a real place because there's always something going on in the background that makes you feel like you're actually there while the main plot's still going on. It's a really good mixture of futuristic technology versus old African traditions, if that makes any sense. The clothing and some of the piercings, like particularly one character, which looks like a plate stuck in his bottom lip. Ew. I mean, I don't know. And they also have vibranium in this movie, which is also an integral material for Captain America's shield. So, nice little connection there. Oh yeah, and about the score, I don't know the name of the guy who did the score. From what I understand, he did the music for Creed, also made by Ryan Coogler. There were a couple times when the choir parts kicked in where I said, this is so like The Lion King. Particularly the... It reminded me a lot of this part of the Lion King music. And there's certain images that they show in the trailer, particularly this one, where it definitely looked like something pulled out of Lion King. Not that it was done in a bad way, and I don't know if it was intentional, but whether or not it was, nice little connection. As far as the actors go, Marvel has almost always never disappointed with their choices. Chadwick Boseman is another solid choice. I really can't imagine anybody else playing T'Challa. While I did like him in Civil War, I wasn't really sure if he would actually be able to hold his own in his feature film debut. But here, Chadwick Boseman proves to be a very capable actor. Not just with the action, but also with the character's emotions and how he deals with being a king and still trying to remain a good person at the same time. Because if you pay attention to history, and especially current events, it's hard to be a good person while also being a good leader, because a lot of times you have to sacrifice one thing for the other. When he sees the past errors of the previous generations, particularly with his father T'Chaka, he starts to realize how damaging this is to Wakanda, and he tries to figure out a way to use that to improve their country in order to get along with other countries as well, which is also another thing that this movie touches on. Political and social commentary, which nowadays it's really easy to accuse a film of being too liberal or too conservative. And when I started to hear that this is the movie that we need, I got really scared because I didn't want to see a movie movie that was going to beat me over the head about the character's skin color. Thankfully, that's nowhere to be seen in here. But what this movie I think really touches well on is isolation and diplomatic relations. Because Wakanda likes to keep itself sheltered from the world, at least the advanced technological part, but the character Killmonger, played by Michael B. Jordan, brings up some relevant questions to the table saying, hey, you have all this technology. Why aren't you sharing this with the world? This shouldn't be this way. Speaking of Killmonger, Michael B. Jordan is continuing to prove himself as one of the best actors on the scene. Amazing as Adonis Creed, this guy is going places. As far as the character himself, to me he's not on the level of someone like Loki or Wilson Fisk, but he's a lot better than most of the Marvel villains that we've gotten. And considering that most of Marvel's villains in the films at least haven't been the most memorable, basically they're just kind of there. And I think the biggest mistake that Marvel's made is that they kill them off pretty quickly. And a lot of the fun part is to have them come back for another round and possibly get a little more insight as to why they're doing what they're doing. Thankfully in this case, with Killmonger, you see his backstory and you understand why he's doing the things that he's doing. But on the other hand, I think there was maybe one or two more scenes we could have had in order for us to fully get invested into his life story. Nonetheless, I thought he was one of the better villains that we'd seen, and Michael B. Jordan, thankfully, brings a lot of energy and charisma to the character. And then you got various other actors like Andy Serkis, who comes back as Claw, if I'm not mistaken, from Age of Ultron, and Martin Freeman, who actually gets a lot more to do in this one, whereas in Civil War, he was just kind of there. And even Forrest Whitaker's in here, and his character plays an integral part to T'Challa's past, which I won't spoil in case you don't want to know, but I thought it was very well handled. And then you have T'Challa's former love interest. I don't remember the character's name, but she's played by Lupita Nyong'o. You live long enough to see the same eyes in different people. I see your eyes, child. I know your eyes. Sorry, wrong movie. And the sister, I don't know the character's name or the actress, and some people have pointed this out, but she does remind you of Q from the Bond franchise, like the friendship that James Bond has with Q, with the gadgets and the technology and everything with the costume, makes for some really good humorous scenarios throughout the film. And I mentioned some flaws earlier, like with Michael B. Jordan maybe having a little more time to get us into the character, but there's a lot of CGI in here. Mostly, I think it looks really good. There are a couple of shots here and there where it looked just a little bit questionable, or like, okay, come on. You could have cleaned that up just a little bit. Particularly in one situation where you see a certain character standing on the edge of this waterfall. The sky's in the background with some of the clouds, and looking really closely at it, I thought, okay, that's a blue screen. It's not too distracting, but still, I think the effects could have been cleaned up just a little bit. And in some ways, the action was kind of a letdown. There is a really cool scene in the opening of the film where Black Panther is taking on these rebel soldiers in the nighttime in the jungle. It's kind of like Batman Begins in that way, when you first see Batman showing up at the docks, picking off thugs one by one. Although there's no moment where it's like, where are you? Here. Da! And there is a car chase scene, which you probably saw in the trailers. It's nothing that amazing, but the only thing that sticks out in my mind is seeing Black Panther in action in his costume. As far as the climactic battle, that's where also the CGI comes into place again. It almost felt like I was watching a video game cutscene from a PS4 game. But on the other hand, I wasn't that bothered by it because of how the character of T'Challa was so well realized, as well as the villain and various other characters. While it's nice to have some really awesome action sequences, especially in a Marvel film, this one was more focused on the characters in the story, which is something that I appreciated. Thankfully, I'm actually thinking about that more so than the action itself. Oh yeah, and if you're wondering if there's another one-shot take like you saw in Creed with one of the boxing matches, the one-shot take is back in here again with a certain action sequence that leads up to the car chase scene. And it took a few seconds, but immediately I thought, oh my god, he's doing it again. And I mentioned earlier with the social and political commentary, maybe I didn't mention this part of it, but as far as the political themes that they touch upon, what I was really scared of was that they were going to try to really ham-fist it in our faces. Maybe I did say this, but I don't know. my brain's kind of mush right now. They do it in a way where it's believable, and it's like, okay, I can buy this. I can get into this. And of course, with any other Marvel film, don't get up and leave when the credits start. There's 2 more scenes that they show, so that's all I'll say. All in all, I really enjoyed Black Panther. It's not exactly my favorite of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like I said, it's not up there with the first Iron Man or first Avengers or some of the Captain America films. Just about right. And I think that Chadwick Boseman is an inspired choice to play Black Panther, considering that I don't know anything about the character outside of the movies. Get this movie a sequel. Sorry, I couldn't resist. So have you guys seen Black Panther? If so, let me know in the comments what you thought of it. Love it, like it, think it's alright, or do you hate it? Whatever the case is, comment below and tell me, and I will see you guys next time.